Let me ask you, do you like playing with fireworks? How about throwing potato-sized rocks at helpless cabbage farmers? Or maybe you are someone who enjoys waiting ages for an attack animation to finish. Well, if so, let me introduce you to the Grenadier. He is just some lunatic who runs across the battlefield dual-wielding grenades, saying the most controversial political statements to spark a debate. And when you disagree with him, well, even with this knowledge of his psychological profile, I ranked him to rank 6 to give you a full review of this unit. Let's begin. The Grenadier is a unique unit as you progress to the exciting level of 2. As in, he is the first unit you can recruit that not only has access to explosive type attacks, but also has an indirect line of fire, meaning whereas something like a trooper is unable to shoot a 6-ton mammoth behind a knee-high rock, the Grenadier is able to throw lawn darts and bricks at our enemies, leaving them at a loss for words at how such a thing is even conceivable. So what kind of stats does such a unique and exciting unit possess? At rank 6, it comes kitted out with 90 health, 35 bravery, 75 defense, 45 dodge, and a PvP unit value of 13. He also gets 2 ability slots and has 3 ammo with an 8-turn reload that he will split between his equipped attacks. And I hear you ask, equipped attacks? Yes, because this madman has 4 of them to choose from. Let's look at the first one. His first attack is called Small Grenade, which is fitting because the Grenadier throws a below average but still adequate sized grenade at the enemy. Please watch this demonstration. Thank you, Grenadier 17. Now back to your cage. Looking at the stats of this attack, we can see that at rank 6, this attack has the potential to do 36 to 54 explosive damage with an offense of 71 and a 5% crit chance. It has a range of 3 and that indirect line of fire that I mentioned. Another thing to note is that this attack can hit air units, meaning that just some dude with a backpack full of grenades is better at taking down planes than a dedicated AA turret at rank 1. Fascinating. His second attack is a flashbang grenade, and while the uneducated might look at this attack and write it off as lackluster because it only does 1 damage with 79 offense, those of us who are enlightened know that the flashbang is the best tool that the Grenadier has for blinding and stunning infant boars, making it easier for us to kick them across a field. Since this attack has a 100% chance to stun the target for 3 turns, and an unknown chance to stun the target's 4 closest friends. Based on my own personal experience, I'm guessing this has to be at least 3%, making it only slightly harder than getting an ironclad. The biggest weakness to this attack is it has a max range of 2 and a 3-round cooldown, as well as a premium cost of 4 nanopods. Time to look at the third attack, Incendiary Grenade, and let me tell you, it fucking sucks. Unlocked at rank 3 and costing 6 nanopods just for 18 to 27 damage while lightly setting the target on fire for 3 turns just to do roughly another 20 damage, not to mention the 2 max range and 3-round cooldown. The only use I found for this attack is harassing the local wildlife. But I think that this is much better. This final attack I'm indifferent about. It's called Handful of Grenades and is unlocked at rank 4, costing 12 nanopods. In this attack, the Grenadier empties his entire hotbar in a semi-random pattern, causing 36 to 54 damage 3 times, with an offense of 61 and a 5% chance of a critical hit each time. Since this attack uses all 3 grenades that were jingling in the Grenadier's pocket, you will need to wait 8 turns for him to acquire more from his mid-battle corpse looting. Other notable things for this attack is that it has 2 range, can hit air, and it has the longest damn attack animation I've ever seen. Now that we have gone through this unit's stats and attacks, we are going to test its combat potential by checking items off my to-do list to further my own political power. Why? Because no one can stop me. First, breakfast. We go to the Boar Badlands and find the two most helpless specimens available. I send in 7 of these maniacs, which may seem like overkill. Anyways, one of the Grenadiers throws a pipe filled with thermite on the first boar. While that one slow roasts, the rest of the Grenadiers hurl rocks at the second boar. And before you know it, we both fed our troops and trained them for combat. Very effective. Now it's time we break up a protest that is trying to get me to stop using child labor to dump all of my excess toxic chemicals into the local water supply. There is no evidence that this is what caused giant mutant worms to come out of the ground, vomiting acid and terrorizing the local villages. This is purely slander. The protesters try to maintain their ranks when my Grenadiers start throwing Chinese firecrackers at them. They even try to reason with them by appealing to their humanity. But what they did not realize is that I only recruited the most schizophrenic addicts into my ranks and told each of them that these protesters are hiding catalytic converters in their skulls. And before you know it, the protest is over. Now that that's dealt with, we need to go to Crazy Blade's base and take a shit on her lawn. I'm not really sure why this is on my to-do list, but it is, so here we are. We are interrupted by a homeless vagrant with knives, just some guy who happens to have handheld artillery with him, and 2 people who just so happen to be on their daily commute to work. The first thing we do is have one of the Grenadiers throw a handful of sand in the vagrant's eyes, stunning him so my shock troopers can perforate his body more easily. We then take care of the mammoth rider and cannon wielder, leaving just the prehistoric equivalent of a Ford F-450 Super Duty truck. The easiest way to deal with these is to stun the driver, then throw a dozen grenades at him. Now that we have completed today's checklist, furthering my own long-term goals, it's time to answer the question of what is this unit good for? In the early game, this is one of the first units with access to explosive damage, making it useful for getting rid of enemies who have resistance to the more common piercing damage. But this is quickly surpassed by better equipped units. In the late game, this unit having 5 more health than rank 6 troopers could fill a similar role as cannon fodder, but it feels weird and I don't do that. But I do have a dream where I shove 30 of these units into a garrison equipped with the flashbang and handful of grenades attacks. Anyone who wants to occupy my land will have to grind their way through these Grenadiers, having their units stunned and enduring this. While they won't suffer any casualties, I hope that this experience will be tiring and slowly drain their soul, and as they finally kill the last Grenadier, getting ready to pillage my base, they see it. Another garrison 3 feet away with 30 more Grenadiers in it. At this realization, they go into a psychosis state, screaming and covering themselves in feces before finding another base to raid.